Hey guys, welcome back. So in the last video, we finally finished up the 328 Ti. It is now running and driving. But there are a couple more things that we need to get done before we can actually take this thing to a drift event. One of those things being the exhaust setup. Now you guys know I like to keep things as budget oriented as possible. So instead of going with like some aftermarket exhaust setup, I ended up just picking up a stock exhaust from a 325i. But if you notice, there's something missing out of here. Initially, when I talked to the guy about the exhaust, he said that it was gonna be a bit more pricey just because it had cats in it. Well, with the tune that I have on the 328 Ti, it gets rid of the cats, don't need cats, so I told him he could just keep the cats. So without those cats, I was able to pick up this entire exhaust for $80. It's kind of funny though, you can see that the resonators aren't attached. The dude messaged me and he said that when he was going to cut off the cats, he accidentally cut off the resonators because he thought they were the cats. But honestly, that's gonna make my life a whole lot easier because the stock 325 exhaust would be too long stock. Because this is an E36 compact, the car is a bit shorter, so I was gonna have to end up shortening the exhaust anyways. I'm hoping that since the cats aren't gonna be there, I'll mostly just be able to weld up the exhaust and it'll fit somewhat good up underneath the Ti. Alrighty, so I went ahead and I had the exhaust roughly laid out underneath the car. And it looks like with everything as it sits right now, it's gonna be a pretty close fit. If anything, I'm probably gonna have to add maybe like 6 inches to maybe a foot worth of piping. But as of right now, this is looking very promising. Alrighty, so it's the next day. I ended up I got a little bit done yesterday. I ended up welding on the resonators back where the cats used to sit on the front portion of the exhaust. Well, it's look decent. I'm not gonna get too close to those because I don't want y'all flaming me in the comments. But now, what I'm working on is the rear hanger setup. I already have one hanger on the muffler that's going on the back. This muffler sits very perfectly up in the slot up underneath the back of the car. So I need to get these hangers somewhat decently placed. So this is the next hanger that I have to get on. It's gonna sit kind of somewhere up over here like that. It's all a work in progress. Exhausts are hard. I spent a lot of time yesterday kind of just finagling with everything and didn't get as much done as I wanted. But before I can go ahead and get that hanger placed, I need to cut out a bigger slot in the rear bumper just so I can get the tips to fit up there so that I can get some accurate placement going. I'm starting to wish I had something other than it's just a fucking grinder. See, getting that corner is gonna be tough. There we go. Only melted a little plastic. Beautiful. What a beautiful cutout. All right, so I got the rear section of the exhaust up. I got my very janky exhaust hangers on both sides up, and surprisingly, it fits up here perfectly. And like, now you can kind of see, like, front part of the muffler is all the way to the front, and the rear part of the muffler, like, there's overall just not much space for the muffler in here. But now I just need to measure the gap between the back portion of the exhaust over here and the front portion of the exhaust, and then just weld in 2 pipes right there. All right, so we got the 2 pieces of pipe cut out. I think driver's side ended up being about like a 12-inch section, and then the passenger side also ended up being a 12-inch section. But I got them all marked up, driver, passenger, and then made a little dash marks on either side just so I know how everything aligned when we fitted it up. But I guess without further ado, we can get to welding. Alrighty, so we got the entire exhaust all up in the car to make sure everything would fit. It lines up fairly well. I honestly didn't have high hopes, but I mean, everything's kind of turning out. So now that we verified that everything actually fits up, we're gonna disconnect the rear portion of the exhaust, and then I'm gonna loosen up the 2 nuts that are holding on the front portion of the exhaust right now, connected up to the headers, just so we can droop down the exhaust a little bit. That way I can just weld it underneath the car because I do not wanna have to take this exhaust back out. I hate working on exhaust so much, man. The tack welds broke as I was trying to take off the rear section of the exhaust, so I ended up just taking the entire thing out again, and we're just gonna weld it outside of the car. It's gonna make it a hell of a lot easier, I guess, to do the welding. I just hate having to line up the pipes that go up to the headers. Lining these up, I don't know what it is about it, but getting all 6 bolts to line up, it feels nearly impossible half the time. But regardless, we're almost there. We just gotta get this thing welded up, and then we'll be ready to go. It's fine, it's fine. Just got the welding finished up, and as you can see, I drop some mighty fine dimes, if I do say so myself. Oh, I'm just ready to get this thing into the car. I hope it's not obnoxiously loud still. I imagine it won't. From what I've heard, since the exhaust won't have the stock cats in it, this should be like a little bit louder than stock, but still a little bit of noise, you know. I'm gonna get this shit up in the car, and I'm praying to God that everything fits up how it should. I'll check back in with you guys later. All right, the exhaust is finally completely installed, but there are a couple points where we'll most likely have an exhaust leak. For one, I don't have the little ring thing that's supposed to go in between those two little flanges right there, so that spot's probably gonna leak. And then I completely forgot to put exhaust gaskets on where it connects to the manifolds, and I didn't feel like taking the exhaust back off, so we're just gonna leave that. And then there's also a bolt missing from where it connects to the headers, so we're probably gonna have a leak up there. I'm just hoping it's not gonna be too bad, but it's time to give it its first start with the new exhaust. Would someone like to film? There we go. Ready?
Here. Not bad.
Not terrible. All right, well, the car is definitely quieter. Doesn't sound good, but it's got an exhaust now. You can definitely hear the exhaust leaks, but I mean, now we'll be ready for Spirit Peaks. That took way too long. All right, next on the agenda is gonna be replacing the rear springs. It's gonna be kind of hard to show on camera, but the rear of the car sits a fair amount higher than the front, and in drift, that causes some weird like pitching issues from front to rear. So I want to try and lower the rear a little bit more. So Gabe was kind enough to let me use his springs from a set of Godspeeds. So I'm gonna get out the old Max Peating Rod springs real quick, and then we'll kind of compare the height of the two. All right, so we got the old Max Peating Rod spring on the left, and then the white Godspeed spring on the right, and you can see that it's probably about like an inch difference. So we're gonna go ahead and pop the Godspeed spring in the car, and we're gonna see how much lower this car goes.
Ooh, low boy.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely a little bit lower. So yeah, I'd say that definitely helped out a little bit. The tire is tucking a little bit now. I don't think it was quite tucking before. Let's go take a look at the other side. Oh yeah, I think that should be pretty good. So I've been racking my brain trying to figure out the position that I want to put the coolant overflow tank in. And I came up with this janky ass setup. Literally like the best thing I could figure out right now. But then I realized the kit came with mounting hardware and like a bracket and everything. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. I got the bracket on the actual tank. Bracket's gonna sit on here like this, and then the tank will just sit right inside the engine bay like that. So now I just gotta drill a couple holes and then get this actually bolted to the front core support. Man, I swear, I stay losing my Sharpie. So I'm just gonna have to use one of these screws, get this in place, and then I'm just gonna kind of scry a little bit. Oh, so now we got our two spots. Nice. Nice. That is good enough. Well, it's kind of tough trying to hold it here in place while screwing at the same time. Did I drill a big enough hole? All right, so I went ahead and grabbed some different screws that hopefully will go in a little bit easier. Please. Beautiful. Boom. All right, so I went ahead and got the reservoir off. I opened up two of the ports. I opened up one on the bottom for the feed that will be coming from the actual radiator cap when it opens up. And then I also opened up another port on top for venting. All right, sick. And just like that, the overflow tank is installed. We got the hose coming from the radiator cap whenever it needs to vent, goes up underneath. And then we have the actual vent hose coming off of the overflow tank coming off here. And then it just goes up underneath the car right there. So back in like late October, I got a message on Instagram from It's Black. If you guys don't know It's Black, he is another BMW YouTuber. The dude makes awesome content. He has awesome cars. I love his stuff. But the dude was kind enough to send me an NRG steering wheel and NRG hub. So we're gonna get this thing put in the car right now. Alrighty, so I already got the battery disconnected. First thing we're gonna have to do is get out the airbag, which is just 2 Torx bits on the back side here. Ooh, just like that. Airbag comes out. Disconnect all the plugs on the back. And then we just have the 16 mil in the center. Very cool. Steering wheel is pretty much center. And then we'll just, boom, pull that off. All right, now personally, this is where I start to get into uncharted territory. It looks like we have to get this back ring off. And then this back ring will go inside the hub for the NRG steering wheel. So here, it looks like this is a tiny Torx bit. You know, if I'm being honest, I don't even know if it's really necessary that I do this, because I'm not going to be hooking up the horn on the NRG steering wheel anyways. There we go. Beautiful. So yeah, I'm just going to ditch the center bit strictly because I'm not going to be running the horns. I already deleted the horns. And we obviously don't need the airbag plug, so that can just go off to the side. So now this, we'll just slot on there like that. We'll go ahead and grab the 16 for the hub once again. What is that? Is that a bee? Bruh. Oh! Is it gone? Bruh. Now this does have the horn button on it, so I'm just gonna have to go ahead and tuck these wires back into the slot. And now, we just go ahead, slot this baby on. We can start screwing her in.
Yeah, you'll notice before anything bad happens.
Definitely.
It's
Dude.
That video
Dude, this is so nice.
Yeah, it looks like good reach for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the hand positioning, like, it's not too far away. It's not too close.
Yeah,
like,
it's a good dish.
That's nice, dude. So I also just went ahead and threw the windshield wipers back on. It looks like it's supposed to rain for the event on Saturday, so I figured I'd just throw those on just in case. But I mean, now we got the exhaust done. We got the new steering wheel on. Got the overflow tank on. So I think we're ready for Saturday. I'm super excited to drift this thing for the first time on track. It's definitely going to be a bit of a learning process. I think it's been something like 6-7 months since I drifted last, but nonetheless, I'm super excited, and I hope you guys are too. But I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all have a nice day, and I will see you in the next one.